Hey everybody, this is Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point. This is going to be a TV Afterthoughts and Life Musings video. And I was going to do this video last week and I got halfway through it and changed my mind because I wanted to talk about Ralph Angel and just his whole portrayal of the down and out black man and how women love to flock to those kind of men and then end up getting their lives all messed up, trying to be supportive. But then I changed my mind about doing it and I deleted the video. But then yesterday, my heartstrings were pulled in so many different directions, and it was mainly I want to talk about what about the kids, because when I woke up yesterday morning and logged on to social media, the internet world was all buzz about Rob Kardashian going in on Blac Chyna. And that was just a whole bunch of craziness going on right there. And then by lunchtime, people started talking about Joseline and this video that she had did where she was calling out Mona Scott and Viacom, for the way that they treated her on this last edition of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. And then later on in the evening, I was logging on to my YouTube channel because I wanted to check out, how some of my videos were doing. And I came across this video that Tommy Sotomayor was doing. And if you guys are familiar with him, he's this black guy that has a YouTube channel. It's a very popular YouTube channel. I think he has almost 300,000 followers. But basically, every time I have seen one of his videos, he's really bashing black women and just calling black women out, for the stuff that they do. And it's very inflammatory, and just the things that he say, like if you don't sit there and just like really listen to it, you can get real angry and caught up, into it, because that's what he basically wants, is for people to get angry and have this conversation and this dialogue. But where he turns people off is, like I said, I don't watch him on a regular basis. I just happened to see the video was being recommended and I looked at it. But every time I have tuned into one of his videos, he is dogging black women out. And so I'm just like, why does he hate black women so much? But then I had to realize, it's like, I tell my kids, like, if it doesn't apply to you, then they're not talking about you. So, I have to say to myself, he ain't talking about all black women because I don't fit that stereotype, so he's not talking about me. But last night, he was dragging this girl. She's a 22-year-old girl named Dana Sutton, and she lives in Gary, Indiana. And Dana posted a picture of her and 4 of her 5 kids. And they were wearing, and I think it was for the 4th of July, and they were wearing these cute little outfits that had like the Nike logo across the front. And so he wasn't dragging her for posting the picture. What he was dragging her for is that she's 22 years old, she has 5 kids, and the Nike outfits that the kids were wearing, she actually makes them herself and she sells them. And so he was like, first of all, you're young and you're obviously dumb because you have all these kids and you're stealing the brand of like a mega corporation. Like, are you crazy? And you're on Facebook. And so all these girls started, I don't know how the conversation started, but then all these girls started chiming in on her post and were basically saying, how proud they were of her for doing the doggone thing. And, they are, I'm 19 and I got 7 kids. I'm 25. I got 5 kids, and people are just jealous of you because you're doing, your life. And when I tell you guys, this thing went on for hours. So what I want to talk about is what about the kids, like I said earlier. Rob and Blac Chyna, while y'all are on the internet acting like damn idiots, what about Dream? What kind of example are you setting for your baby? how does this make you look as parents that Dream's father is dogging her mom out, posting inappropriate pictures, is, you know, saying that, you know, he gave her hundreds of thousands of dollars to have all this plastic surgery done, or she spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on the plastic surgery. He's posting her before and after pictures, and I'm just like, you guys are parents. This is so stupid. This is so ridiculous. I mean, just the way that the two of them even got together before they even had the baby was, so she was with the guy, is it Tiger? And then Tiger got with one of the Kardashian girls, and then she got with Rob. I mean, like, the whole thing seemed like a setup to me, because she has a child from the Tiger guy, and I'm probably not even saying the name right because I don't, you know, follow the rap game anymore. But anyway, just a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of confusion. But this is what we're teaching our children. And then, you know, the fact that Blac Chyna has had all this dang on plastic surgery and stuff, it's like, what does that say about a black woman's self-worth, her self-beauty, and the way she looks at herself? Because we got the Kardashians who have done everything, you know, to emulate black women, you know, and I know that they're from wherever, they're Armenia, wherever they're from, you know, women might have big butts, but you can't tell me that the Kardashians haven't had a whole bunch of plastic surgery to alter their looks. And now we have our black children trying to emulate this nonsense and just like not thinking that they're good enough, that they're pretty enough, and that they have to, this is what they have to do to compete in this world. And then it's like, what are you competing for? Because these people have made an industry of being on the internet and acting the fool. But we know it's just a fad, and that this foolishness isn't going to last forever. So when people tire of spending money, you know, on designer things, on getting plastic surgery, we're trying to keep up with the Kardashians, and this thing moves on out of the way, what are they going to be left with? Are they going to have anything up here in their brain to think about, you know, to think with, to say, okay, what can I do next? Like, you know, and then people talk about, you know, the Instagram girls, and, you know, they call them Instagram whores, and just the degrading of women is just so sad and so crazy. And to think that these people have brought a little girl into the world to be subjected to their craziness, and with the internet, like, what is she going to think when she's, you know, 5? Well, nowadays kids are on the internet even younger, so hell, she might be 5 years old when she sees all of this back and forth. And, you know, what happens when she goes to school and everybody knows about this? And it just seems so unfair to the kids that are caught up in this drama. And then we move on to Joseline. So we were hoping and praying that Joseline, once she had baby Bella, or Bonnie Bella, or whatever the child name is, that hopefully that would change her. And in some aspects it did change Joseline, or maybe Joseline just decided to stop being the stupid person on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. But, you know, she was doing good in the beginning. And then, you know, when they got to the end of the season, they had the whole situation where she was supposed to go meet up with Stevie J and his 2 daughters to apologize. And then things just got blown out of proportion, and, you know, made to look like Joseline was threatening the girls. You know, then they jump up and they run out, then Stevie goes after them. And so basically what she was saying in this video that she did, and I think the video is on Instagram, and I mean, Joseline ain't have on a lick of makeup. She was, I had never seen her without, well, we did see her on the baby delivery special without the makeup, but here she was, you know, again, without her makeup. And she was going in on Mona Scott about how Mona owes her money, and how she didn't get paid, I guess, for the special that they did when she delivered the baby, and just how they wanted her to go back to her old ways where she's trying to evolve. And so they used footage on the season finale of her getting into fights like years ago. And, you know, remember reunion a couple of years ago where they had to shut it down because she was fighting and carrying on. And then I think they went all the way back to when they were in the psychiatrist at Dr. Jeff's office, and she went after Stevie and fought Stevie. And then there was another video where she was saying that because she refused to film anymore with the cast because she was over Mona and all of Mona's crap and the way Mona was treating her, that then Mona's retaliation was to bring up this old footage and then paint this narrative that Joseline was being uncooperative and disrespectful. And the whole while I was just sitting there saying, Joseline, first of all, we know what Love and Hip Hop Atlanta is all about. So when you got your renewed spirit, when you were out there being on The Real, you know, when you were getting people in your corner supporting you and wanting you to do better, that was your opportunity to leave Love and Hip Hop behind. And even if you were obligated by your contract, they can't force you to act a certain way on the show. And so you're upset because they cut you out of a lot of filming, I guess because you wouldn't act the fool. And then they set you up to come and meet with Stevie's daughter, knowing that the situation was going to escalate and try to pull you out of character. And I do commend you for not getting up out your chair and going after the girl. So you did do good by staying seated. But it comes a point where you have to decide, I want better for me and my daughter, and I'm going to leave this nonsense behind. And now you might be able to beat Mona at her own game, but Joseline, I don't think you're going to be able to beat Viacom. So you may want to let that $150,000 go and move on in a different direction and do what is best for you and your baby. And I don't know, maybe you go on over there to Oprah. I mean, she tried to help Evelyn Lozado by giving her a show. So maybe Oprah, if you plead your case to Oprah, maybe she'll be able to help you and give you a reality TV show on OWN. But you got to be committed and want to do better. Like, you can't keep cussing people out, calling people names. You're a mother, you're still walking around half naked, and it's just, oh my God, like what in the world are we doing to our children? Like, what kind of future are we preparing for our kids in this world today? So now let's move on to Mr. Tommy Sotomayor versus Dana Sutton. And you know, I'm the mother of 3 daughters. So as I was trying to watch his live stream, and then she started live streaming, you know, to go against him, and then my heart just really broke for her, because I'm thinking, as a mother, like listening to her and talking to her, you could tell that she was hurt by the whole situation, and you know that she's doing the best that she can, you know, with the decisions that she's made. Yes, she's 22. Yes, she has 5 kids. One of her kids is special needs. She didn't go into exactly what was wrong with him, but he was like in a baby car seat sitter type thing. But she said he was her 2nd oldest child, so I'm not sure how old the oldest is. But that's a whole lot for a 22-year-old to deal with. And I'm thinking, if she has 5 kids, she had to have had the first one when she was a teenager, maybe 14, 15 years old. But on the one hand, you know, Tommy's saying that they probably all got different baby daddies. She came back and said, no, I only have two baby fathers. And, you know, I'm working hard. I'm trying to do this clothing line. She says she do hair. And it was just, like, I felt so sorry for her, because I'm just like, obviously nobody has taught her better. So she's figuring it out on her own, and she's trying to do better. But on the same tip, she was cussing so much. Like, every other word was MF this, bitch this, nigga this, just like, what kind of example are you setting for your children? Like, I understand you want to do better, you want to grow and be a good mom and provide your kids with everything, but that includes getting yourself together. And the fact that she was able to pop off so quick and become so angry and not think about what she was saying, because I'm telling you guys, this went on for hours. Like, she probably did 5 Facebook Lives throughout the course of this evening, and I think that he ended up doing like 3 videos, because he had to keep cutting it off, because once it would get to a certain point, then I think either YouTube or Facebook would cut it off. You couldn't go past like 2 hours or whatever. Then he opened up the phone lines with Blog Talk Radio, and he had his situation set up because, you know, he's been doing this a while and this is his business. But he was able to bring in like the comments from Facebook. He was able to bring in her videos. He had the Blog Talk set up where people could call in and have, you know, give their opinion of what was going on. And it was so sad to me that, you know, they were exposing this girl like that, and then he was going through her comments, and then the girls that were agreeing with her, he would like click on their link and then open up their pages. And it's a generational thing that we may not agree with, but it's all relative to our situations. Like, everybody comes from a point of what they know. So like, I come from a 2-parent home. My parents, you know, middle class family. So my opinion and my views are going to differ from someone who may have grown up in a single parent home where the mother had, you know, 3, 4, 5 kids from 3 or 4 different men. And so that person's viewpoint is going to be different. But at the end of the day, we're all trying to be the best that we can be. We're all trying to grow, and we're all trying to take the knowledge and the history that we have to make the best decisions to move our kids forward. And so, you know, listening to her talk, she wasn't a dumb girl by any means. I mean, you could tell that she has a heart, that she's a compassionate person, that I just hated to see her being treated like that and then feeling like she had to defend herself. And I think she said the kids were asleep or the kids were at her mom's house. So then I was sitting there like, okay, so why are you on the internet arguing with somebody that you don't even know, trying to prove a point to people who obviously don't care, when you should be with your kids and loving on your kids? And then you got a special needs child who needs you more than these streets need you. And it was just like a sad situation, and it just turned into like a tug of war. And so whereas I understood where the Tommy Sotomayor guy was coming from, you know, his sensationalizing the situation, you know, for people to follow him and engage in the conversation, really goes to the whole social media thing, how we become these people that depend on, you know, like he kept, you know, depending on likes and followers. And she kept talking about the fact, I think by the end of the night, she had almost 80,000 followers. But having 80,000 followers doesn't really mean anything if the 80,000 followers, one, isn't empowering you to be better and do better. You know, if they're just co-signing, you know, what you're doing and the way that you're living, that really doesn't help you. And then at one point, you know, he was saying, well, because she kept saying, you know, he's making money off of me, you know, he's becoming relevant off of me, but you're allowing him to make money off of you. And at one point he even said that if she, you know, would communicate with him, that he would be willing to show her, you know, because you don't make money on Facebook. You know, you're just giving away your time for free. So you need to move over to a platform that's at least, once you reload those videos, like he was, you know, when you're doing the live thing, people can donate to you. So he was making hundreds of dollars from people donating because they agree with the way he was treating this young girl. But then he'll get to reload the videos, and then, you know, if advertisement runs on those videos, then he's going to make even more money. And it was just like a really sad situation because it wasn't really helping anybody. It wasn't coming up with any solutions. And then once again, here we have 5 kids who, you know, are in a situation, and instead of helping this young girl, somebody had mentioned that, oh, are you saving money for their college funds so that, you know, at least they can get an education, they can have a better life? Like, what good is working hard for your kids if you're not going to teach them or show them how to have a better life? And then she said, well, my kids are young, they're just babies. You know, why am I worried about saving money for college? You know, I worry about that when they're 18. And then my heart was just like, no, baby, you got to worry about that today. You got to start saving today if you want your kids to have a better future. So like I said, my heart was breaking for her because she was so naive, but she wanted to get her point across, and she wanted to show people like, you know, this is okay. This is my life. I love my kids. I'm going to provide for my kids. And there, you know, the point that he was really trying to make is that at 22, you have created an environment for you that is going to be so hard for you to overcome. And he was trying to say to her that government assistance is not taking care of your kids. Like if you have to depend on food stamps or SSI or any of that stuff, you're not really taking care of your kids. The government is taking care of your kids. And then somebody called in on his show, and she was basically saying that she didn't see the difference between a person taking government aid for, you know, for food and for shelter, you know, Section 8 and SSI to care for her disabled son. She didn't see the difference between that and someone who goes to college and takes financial aid. Oh, and I was just like, okay, this mentality has got to stop. Like, what can we do to better this mentality? Because someone, you know, bringing their kids up on government aid is way different than someone getting financial aid to continue their education, to better their future, to put them in a position to get a better job. Being on government aid to care for your family, that's just like modern day slavery, because you become beholden to that. Because you can't, if you go out and get a real job, your aid is going to be cut. So then people say, well, I'll take the aid over actually getting out there and trying to educate myself and get a job and try to, you know, climb the corporate ladder, or to try to become an entrepreneur. And then she was saying, well, I'm trying to be an entrepreneur, that's why I'm doing the clothes. Like, she didn't see the connection between you're stealing somebody's trademark. Like, you can be sued for this. Like, Nike could come after you, girl, and hurt you big time for out there stealing their logo, stealing their product. It was Nike and Fila and Jordans. Like, she was making shoes. So she's obviously a gifted and talented person, but you need to create your brand and grow your own brand. It's not okay to steal other people's brands because it's an easy way to make money, and you need to feed your kids. And so it was like all interrelated, but it was just such a sad situation. And like I said, she was cursing. Like, for every sentence there was 5 curse words to 1 non-curse word. And then over on Tommy's page, he calling her a bitch, he's calling her a hoe, he's calling her dumb, stupid. And I'm like, how can somebody receive your message if you're calling them out of their name, if you're steady degrading them and making them feel bad about their life? And at one point on her video, her boyfriend came into the picture, and he's standing there and he's reading the comments, and you could tell he was so embarrassed, but he didn't know what to say or what to do. So he's not a leader. He can't lead his family because he didn't have the wherewithal to say to her, baby, we are better than this. Sign off this computer, leave this alone. You know, we got kids to take care of. He just stood there and he just watched, and he was just like, you know, like looking around, just lost and confused. And so somebody had asked him, like, how do you feel about this? What are you thinking as all of this is going on? And he couldn't even respond. He had no answer. He was like, well, you know, she has to defend herself. She has to. No, baby, you need to defend her by telling her to stop and to knock it off, that you don't have to, you know, be caught up in this. And at one point I wanted to like reach out to her and say, hey, let me, like, this, you got these followers now, you got these 80,000 followers, make this work for you. Let me show you how to get on YouTube. Let me show you how to monetize what you're trying to do. Like, I mean, here I am starting out from scratch with 0 followers trying to build a brand, but I get the whole gist of it, the whole marketing part of it. So the fact that she has 80,000 followers, she probably could do good, but she got to get her mind right and get her head right, or she's just going to let this could be an opportunity that God is giving her, you know, but she got to tone it down a bit, and she's just got to get her situation straight. And it was just like really sad. I'm just like, kids are growing up in this madness and this craziness, and it's just a cycle that's just going to continue to perpetuate itself. And so in my own community, when I see documentaries being done on the failing school systems and people coming up with programs like, oh, we're going to bring the kids in for a couple of hours on Saturday morning and pay them $100 or pay them $500 for doing this 10-week course. And it's not helping the kids, because until you can get in the home of the family and get into the head of the parent, this cycle is just going to keep continuing and continuing. And just watching that play out last night, and some of my friends was like, well, why are you watching that? That is so crazy. And I'm like, I'm watching it because it is so informative. It is so educational. It just shows what the problem is in our communities. It shows the breakdown. It shows the lack of respect for women, the lack of respect they have for themselves, the lack of respect that men have for them. It shows why certain men don't want to deal with black women. And then instead of us checking ourselves and looking at ourselves and saying, I shouldn't be on social media cussing and calling people the B word, calling myself the B word, calling my kids MFers, calling, saying people are stupid and ignorant and done. It was just so much negative energy going on. And I'm like, there's got to be a change somewhere. There has to be a point where we stop and say, this can't be my life, and this cannot be my future, and this cannot be the future of my children. And somebody's got to give and pull back and say, we have got to do better. We've got to address this situation. We've got to come up with better ways, because what I'm seeing right now is a platform where men think it's okay to downgrade women, to talk about women, to call them names, to say this is what we're talking about, this is why we don't like black women, this is why our communities are being torn down, torn apart, dismantled. This is why over the 4th of July weekend 100 people were shot in Chicago, why people are being killed by the police. So this is their platform to say, see, this is why. It's because of these single black women, because they don't know any better, because they are raising these kids. And, and at one point he was saying, people were talking about, well, she's never heard of birth control. She could have had abortions. She could have made the guy use the condom. And then on the flip side, but what are the guys doing? You can not be having sex with all these different women. You can have the condom ready and put the condom on, learn to abstain or learn to protect yourself. You can go have a vasectomy if you want to be just out here screwing any and everybody. And then when you get ready to settle down and get married and have children, get the vasectomy reversed. But it's got to be a coming together, a unity that says we as black men and black women want to do better. We want better for our children. Otherwise, this vicious cycle is just going to continue. And I'm not mad at the girls. I really feel sorry for them, because they're just living what they've learned. It's just a cycle. And I'm telling you, to change and do better, it requires inner reflection. It requires hard work. It requires 110% commitment that I'm going to be the generation that's going to break this curse. I'm going to be the generation to do better. And don't give people like Tommy Sotomayor the ammunition to shoot you with. Don't be the subject of his rants that he's going on. And like I said, I don't know if that's all he ever talks about. It's just what he's talking about whenever I tune in. And the points that he's making, they're well taken. I get the point. I get what you're saying. It's just the delivery and the sensationalizing of it that really irks me and irks so many other people. And so that is did I talk about Ralph Angel? So if I did, let me talk about Ralph Angel, and if I covered him at the beginning, I'll cut this part. But what I was going to say about Ralph Angel on Queen Sugar is that he's a fine brother. He's a good-looking brother. And so the women are always on Twitter during the show, talking about, you know, oh, Ralph Angel's so good. He tries so hard. He has so much potential. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. And that is part of the whole cycle. The whole cycle. We meet men that we say, oh, they have great potential. And then we take that idea of their great potential and we run with it. We never think, where is his mind? Yeah, he has potential, but is he mature enough to do something with that potential? Has he learned from his past mistakes? Is he willing to do better, to make smarter decisions? Can he allow me to work with him, to help him grow and to give him direction? If I know things that he needs, is he willing to let me show him those things? And Ralph Angel, his character on that show is like the typical brother who is going to do big things. He's going to do great things, but he doesn't have the tools to do it, and he's too prideful to ask for help to get it done. And so he ends up making mistake after mistake after mistake. And I pointed this out in my recap of Queen Sugar, where the police came to arrest him for violating his parole. And so people were saying, oh, he didn't violate his parole. Why they always messing with Ralph Angel? And so I pointed out he has violated his parole, and he's violated his parole numerous times, and these are the times that he's violated paroles. Stop making excuses for Negroes that won't do better, who think they can do better, but they don't do the action. They don't show you that they can do better because they keep doing dumb stuff. The same dumb stuff that got Ralph Angel locked up for the 4 years is the same dumb stuff that he's doing now, even though he has this great opportunity. So, you know, as ladies, it's great to find a guy. You know, we all want this beautiful black man who's going to come in and be the knight in shining armor. But we too have to be a little smarter, that we don't mess our own selves up. Because in last night's episode, he called Darla. Darla was on her job. He called Darla and said, I need you to come out to the farm. We need as many people out here because we got this situation with these flies, and we got the, you know, we had the crop sprayed. Now we got to wash the stuff off of the crops. Darla asked her employer, could she leave early because she had a situation with her boyfriend. The employer said, no, you can't leave. Darla left anyway. She made Ralph Angel her priority, and as a result, she jeopardized her future because she ended up getting fired from her job. And I see people do this all the time, over and over and over again. You've gotten a job, you've got a car, you got a place to live, you have a place for you and your kids, and then you meet a guy, or your baby daddy comes home from prison, or whatever's going on with the situation, and then all of a sudden all that hard work, you know, all that determination goes out the window because you're trying to appease this person, or you're trying to help this person, or you're trying to believe in their vision and their potential and whatever it is that they claim they want to do. And then the next thing you know, he's taking your car, dropping you off at your job while he's running the streets with his friends. And then when it's time for you to get off, you either standing outside in the rain or in the blazing sun waiting on him to come, or you're bumming a ride from a co-worker, or you're getting on the city bus because he doesn't care enough to come pick you up at 5 o'clock like he promised that he would. And I don't know if I mentioned this in another video, but there was a girl on Facebook who took a guy in who didn't have a job. You know, she got kids. And when he wouldn't get a job and he's laying around on her sofa eating up her food and watching her TV and sucking up her AC, she decides to take a picture of him naked, laying on the sofa. And then she took a picture of his driver's license, and then she posted both of them on Facebook, like as a warning to other women to stay away from him. And I'm like, why? Why are you doing that when you were the one that made the decision to bring this man into your home? But it happens all the time. And women, we just got to do better. Like, we have the power to do better. We have the power to demand better. And then on the video last night, when they were talking about that, then, you know, some of the young girls were saying, well, you know, guys, they just want to be with each other anyway, and that we, you know, don't if we put our foot down, then they're just going to go and be with each other. And I'm thinking, see, that is the lie that's been perpetuated on social media, because people are living on social media and not living in the real world. So they're telling us that all black men are gay, that all black men are bisexual, that black men don't, care about black women, and that is not the truth. But if that is what you're constantly being fed and you're constantly seeing, then that becomes your reality, and then this craziness continues. And that's one of the problems that I was talking about with Queen Sugar, is that in each one of the relationships on the show, we have Vi and Hollywood that are, showing what black love looks like, but it just doesn't carry over on the show. Like, there could be more done to show positive relationships between black people. And I'm thinking, since Oprah has this platform, that's what she should be doing. But all the relationships on Queen Sugar are just so volatile and just so tense and so angry that, it's like black women just got to fight when we don't have to fight. What we need to do is give up the fight and just chill and relax and grow into our own. And if we have kids, take care of our kids and raise our kids so that they have a better life. Because at some point, somebody has to make the sacrifice. Somebody has to say, I'm going to be the one to break the generational curse. And so that's just pretty much what I want to talk about, just the male-female relationships that we are seeing play out before our eyes, and what it is doing, the negative impact that it's having on our children. And we learn what we live, but at some point we've got to deprogram ourselves and say, I want better for my children, and this isn't what I want to present my children with. And so I'm going to end the video here, guys. Let me know what you think. Please leave your comments below, and let's get the dialogue started. Rate the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.